Game 12, turn 1. We are playing the European War Theater, or European Theater, or the War in Europe as it's officially known. The bids were Germany 2, Russia 1, everybody else 0. Germany and Italy went first and second. The Allies followed up. And we have America moving eastward into the Mediterranean, or not into the Mediterranean, to Caribbean, and in the South Mid-Atlantic, and aircraft in A2. And then we have a little bit of battle in A7 with some German aircraft and German subs and the British Navy. And then in A6, there's a giant melee of ships and planes, and there's 2 transports of troops, one for the Axis, one for the Allies. Somebody's gonna die, drowning. South Atlantic is quiet. Little move in M1 to threaten something. And the Mediterranean is pretty quiet except for a convoy raid. On the Russia front, Russia getting aggressive, going into Finland with everything they can muster. And then a bunch of defensive moves, anticipating a German advance. And down in Africa, nobody moved. Got the British Navy moving into the Red Sea. And this time we are playing with the I-2 ship. We got the official word from
Kevin Chapman
to say that is in play in the War in Europe scenario. So the British have more shipping than what we would think they would be. We've got builds where we did half the resources. Russia built an armor, a fighter, a couple of infantry. Italy built a tank and infantry. Germany built sub and cruiser and some infantry in Poland. The British built another sub, fighter and infantry, and America is building land units. Let's see how the battle goes. Round 1, combat results. German subs in A7 were sunk, and the cruiser of the British was sunk. In A6, the giant battle, it's a bit of a navy left for both sides, and the land units are continuing to survive, and a lot of airplanes got to land. The Allies have 20 dice in the air battle. Because of force advantage, the Allies kill 3 bombers and 1 fighter. On the other hand, the Axis, having 30 dice to kill the battleship and the cruisers and sub, couldn't kill the battleship because they did not have force advantage. So the key to keeping the Allied battleship alive is to move the Russian submarine down to A6 from the north. There was no hits on the convoy raid there in the Balkans. And Russia takes Finland. Turn 2. These are the bids. Italy and the Allies all bid something. And we get the turn order of the Brits going first, then Italy, Germany, America, Russia. America's moving troops offshore and building more navy and moving into around the British Isles. And there is a big battle on B1, Great Britain itself. We just put all of the contentious forces down here because they just wouldn't fit up there on the map. Remember on turn 1 that the Allies moved North American aircraft towards Britain. Germany's invading Operation Sea Lion. There's the sea situation with the navals. Norway's been invaded by Russia. And Britain's moving offshore into the Med, gonna make an amphibious landing. Italy's protecting G11. And Caucasus were invaded by Russia. And Leningrad was invaded by Germany, unopposed.
We invaded Ukraine, not Caucasus.
Oh, I do. Ukraine. Yeah, sorry. Now the Ukraine. I don't want to make the Ukrainians mad. I know that. I know they're kind of contentious. And down in Africa, Germany moved from Tunisia to Libya, a force.
This guy came up.
And that guy came up into the Red Sea.
In Africa.
Pretty boring down there. Now we'll see you on the combat side. Battle of Britain results. The Axis got wiped off the island. All we got is some planes flying back with the bad news. A lot of American and Brits dead, but they stand and hold. They just had way too many dice. 29 dice to... How many dice do I have?
17.
17.
I had 30 air dice and 29 land.
Yeah, way too many dice. Alright, what's the situation?
I'm trying to figure out what my stances are in M2, and I said, okay, the Battle of B1 is over. We've survived. There's no Germans left, so I can finally switch my focus to the next stage. He has 2 subs left on the entire board. So I think the naval situation is well in hand, which means over here,
Ukraine's still embattled.
we're going to try.
Swap Norway for Leningrad. And we're battling out in the Med. Alright, 3 dice left in the Med to kill the battleship.
Nothing.
No. And it looks like a bunch of British soldiers are going to drown.
Forgot about that.
Oh, goodbye. After the round 2 battle, Germany and the UK both drop down the wheel of misfortune. Have to pay 3 resources every round. Round 3, game 12. Bid, Germany 0, Italy 3, Russia 6. USA and UK went bid 1. And the turn order was Russia going first, Italy, Germany, America, Britain. The Americas are pretty emptied out. They're all in the water. Italy's made a desperate attempt to take over South America, but it's being thwarted by the aircraft carrier fighter. And Americans are just going across the sea with impunity. And they're invade Africa. And France has been invaded. Battle in the English channels going on. Got some bombers in there, some battleships, cruiser subs. Looks like Russia decided to go south and take on some more oil. This surprised the Axis because the Axis thought that the Russians would go right into Poland, getting right onto the German border. And Germany and Italy are moving back into Ukraine to fight it out there. There's a very small battle in Bryansk. Germany's going to retake Finland, and Germany's going to take R2. And a lot of the Russian troops just went home for Christmas. Christmas in Moscow.
On the railroads.
And finally in Africa, they get a battle in Egypt, and aircraft from Gibraltar is bombing G11. And the South Africans are getting into the war. See you after combat. And the Italians lose in A13 to a lone airplane. And the Axis lose the sea battle in A6. The American battleship left. And convoy raids and bombing runs down south. And the big story is Russia takes France, but award it to the Americans. Germany's in trouble. And Russia also takes Bulgaria and Ukraine. And the Germans take Archangel, and they took Finland back. And we still got combat going on in Egypt. Looks like the Germans will win that eventually, but it may be too late. And we're probably going to be going down on the stress wheel. So Germany's stress was very, very bad. These 3 stacks of 6 made Germany drop 3. It was already down 1 on the wheel of misfortune. So it went from there to 1, 2, and 3. We were in economic collapse. But militarily, not doing too bad. I mean, I got lots of big armies, and we're on the doorstep of Moscow, though Moscow is waiting for us. And there's not a clean shot from the east. There's France, but there's a big defensive measure there in Berlin. But this is going to be the greatest comeback of the Axis ever. Maybe. Round 4, turn 4. These are the bids. The Allies really wanted to control the bidding in the turn order. So they all went first, leading with Britain, America, Russia, then Italy, and Germany followed up. We've got combat. Oh wow, look how quiet the Atlantic is.
First time.
Norway's going to be retaken by the Germans. Yay.
I could roll 2 then.
And there's a combat. Oh, there's some battle, sea battle down in the Med. And Germany proper, G1 has been invaded. May not survive. Rome has been invaded. May not survive. And Poland is, no, the Baltic states have been invaded. Will not survive. And battle in northern Russia continues. And Egypt is under fire still. Maybe that will be resolved. And there is a build going on down in South Africa for the first time. Just a reminder, Germany's on the brink of destruction, and nobody else is even close. The UK stressed out and went down 1 spot on the wheel, and Germany spent 7 medals to keep from falling down on the wheel. So now Britain is there in the dysfunctional area. No railroad, no port advantage. And Germany is hanging on in its economic collapse, and everybody else hangs where they're at. For the battles. Germany hangs on. Berlin does not fall. Rome hangs on, does not fall, barely. Egypt falls to the Axis powers, and the South Africans are coming up to save it. And Archangel reverted back to the Russians, and they're going to get a little production there. And Bryansk was unopposed, and now threatening Moscow. And the Ukraine is stacked up, but nothing to do. And there was some minor skirmishes around. Oh, I lost the battleship. The Italian Navy finally, for the first time in any game I played, is finally destroyed, as in the actual war. So this is the most real Mediterranean I've seen. And let's see if we continue to turn 5, or if the Axis decides to declare victory and the Allies surrender. Oh, or no, I got that backwards.
No, I surrender.
Oh, the Allies surrender. I wasn't listening. Say that again.
Oh, are you officially surrendering?
Yeah.
Okay.
Axis officially surrenders.
I was set. So one of the things I mentioned on a previous, just in the last fight, was every single turn, our big giant stacks of airplanes went at it. First it was in A6, I believe, then it was in B1, then it was in G3, turn 4 is in G1. But I was saying, if you had managed to get into like A6 or A7, when there was like a big American stack there, or a big British stack or whatever, you would have been able to hold them off for a turn, because we wouldn't have been able to keep it going. That was kind of my big fear. You know, I only got 3 airplanes here. In theory, maybe you could get all the airplanes in and sink it. Those battleships are hard to sink though. But anyway, that was kind of my worries, especially when I was down to just like a battleship and some subs. Like I was like, if he sends in his entire air force, I might be in trouble.
Yeah.
So Sea Lion. Sea Lion had me worried. I had a few tricks I did where I pulled guys I thought about on the first turn, because I had a feeling you were going Sea Lion, was to go this way with Russia, but I didn't. I just went with the big attack into Finland, because I had a feeling if I did that, then I wouldn't be pinnable from there, because I assumed you wouldn't attack Leningrad, because you wouldn't have the moves for it. And then could come over here with Russia to reinforce. And that's what I did, but it didn't end up needing it. So they were the attacking force into France, which we ended up by the way. And next turn they're going into G1, so they will have fought in France.
The great Russians on the Western Front.
Yeah. They captured Finland. They went around. They led the invasion into France. Led the invasion into Rome.
Everybody gotta think like the Russians are the best troops in the world.
Well, they've been whittled down. But look at them. I've captured your builds quite a few times.
Yeah.
I don't think you've never destroyed my starting artillery. I don't think I maybe built artillery once. Most every other time was tanks, and yet somehow the artillery is still there.
It's quite a bit.
And even this area down here in North Africa, I think, is about to open up because I'll have force advantage on you.
Yeah, I had gone through 2 different flavors of Sea Lion operation, and I kind of mixed them up, and I think that's where I went awry. So things didn't work out in the Atlantic as I needed. I did want to get that first British battleship sunk on the first combat move. And I had enough dice to do it, but the dice didn't play that way. I haven't ran the numbers, but I'm feeling it's somewhere around 60% chance of sinking that battleship.
You had, what, 30 dice. You didn't have force advantage, but you only needed 3 reds.
3 reds, yeah. And
you got, what, 2?
Which is 1 out of, red is 1 out of 12, so it's almost, I can roll 30, so it's about 40% chance of sinking it.
Yeah, maybe.
And a sure shot of getting the cruiser sunk. So, yeah, if that works out, that helps. And there's some other things I didn't do quite right. I mixed things up, and I shouldn't have mixed them up. So, this is not the last of Operation Sea Lion by this Axis commander.
You're gonna try it again, huh?
Oh yeah.
So, what was your Russian front like?
Well, my
doing
Russian
Sea
front,
Lion.
Yeah, that didn't.
That's always my worry.
That didn't pan out as I hoped, and so it'll be different next time you see it. So don't expect the same play.
Every time I'm considering Sea Lion, I'm always worried more about Russia than about America and UK.
Yeah. So, but this was the first time I really sat down. I sat down for about 2 hours the last couple of days during this cold snap, and went over Germany and what I did last time and what I could do and what Sea Lion could be. So next time I won't be mixing up the Sea Lion flavors.
I do like turn 0 builds, but
it does hurt Sea Lion to do turn 0 builds.
Why? Because I put a few more units in B1.
Yeah, because British and Americans get builds there.
What did I build on
they can outnumber
I think I
the
built
German
a sub.
builds.
Yeah.
And Italy really can't help out in the Atlantic except through air power.
Well, I was suspecting you were going to do Sea Lion this game because we'd never tried it.
Yeah.
And when I saw the cruiser and cruiser and sub in G3 on turn 0 builds, I knew it was on.
Yeah, so I didn't know that you was going to expect it because I didn't do it last game.
Yeah.
I did all Eastern Front last game, so I could.
And you got hurt because America had this.
Yeah, I thought I could get Russia out faster and was supposed to get some help from Japan.
It really put me in a pickle though. Like having to deal with that really slowed down what I could do in France. Although I say that, but I still captured France on turn 3. Maybe you just really bungled your turn 3 moves.
Well, turn 1 bungled my turn 2, which bungled my turn 3.
Oh, okay.
So it all started on turn 1. There was, I think, 2 moves that I should have done. I have to go back and see what I can do with those 9 moves on turn 1, and see if I can do a combination that does. I've got an idea of what I should have done, but I'll go test it out on 15 different tries and run the dice, and then I'll have a surefire victory next time.
Yeah.
So how many times have I beaten you, Rob?
Zero.
0. I've never beaten Rob.
Well, next time we just got to be on the same team.
Well, that's how I can not lose to you.
Oh, true.
But that doesn't mean I beat you.
Well,
Yeah.
who won the game whenever me and you were the advisors? I think my team did.
Your team did.
Okay. But we weren't really helping that past like turn 2. And maybe.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, this one definitely gave me a challenge for sure, because the sea lion is something we hadn't seen before, and I knew it was going to slow down the American attack. I didn't want to build navy with America, but I did anyway. And that really slowed. That's how come there's this gap here. See how there's nobody in an A7 right now?
Yeah.
Usually, and this stack's bigger than it would normally be, because that's 2 turns worth of builds. But I built navy because I felt like I had to.
Yeah, you didn't really have to.
I was thinking I had to. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure what you were going to build. If you were going to come out with like 6 submarines or something crazy,
Yeah.
like I would have been in trouble if I didn't build
Yeah.
Navy.
Yeah. That's the other German strategy I'd like to try one day, is do what the Germans did and just build U-boats like crazy and see what.
Because I mean, if you build
they can
6
do out in the
submarines and you have that massive air force, and then you just get out there, your whole goal is to just prevent America from being able to move over.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way.
That might be, and I've never hit these
Yeah.
convoys out
Well,
here.
this game, yeah, your very first move was A13 back, and you never went further west. Of course, that's pretty normal.
Yeah, so if you, so how many dice? You get 1 dice for each ship you got there?
Yeah, but 1 yellow sinks 3 OSRs
Yeah, so-
and causes 3 convoy captures.
Yeah, so if you get 4 submarines there and can do a convoy raid.
Yeah, but I think the most important thing is getting the submarines out there and blocking America
then
from coming
blocking.
over. Like get into A2, get into A10, get into maybe A9. But if you can get out there and block, even if it just slows them down for a single turn, that
Yeah.
might be all you need over here.
Yeah, Germany might be the most fun player to play, or
Really?
power to play. I mean, I enjoy playing Japan because there's
Nobody can hurt them.
because there's so many options. I mean, there's too many options for Japan. They need like 15 orders every turn.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's a nice challenge.
I think my favorite's America just because they're so strong. And
And you're a patriot.
yeah.
Are you from America?
Originally.
Okay. Hey, but North African oil was safe the whole game.
It was, yeah. And that's another thing that Sea Lion causes is it really forced me to have to try to put pressure here. I did end up having an American tank in A15 at one point, but by that point I kind of realized like, it's not worth it. The game was pretty much over if I could take. Yeah, because at that point I had a tank in A15 and I owned France,
Yeah.
so. But I did bungle that up. There was a chance you could have retaken France back. If you
Yeah.
pulled the 84th in and got in. I messed up, but I took a gamble you didn't do it. That was my goof. But you didn't capitalize.
I'd lost 3 because of my going down in the Wheel of Misfortune. Lost 3 orders, so
Is this just
I
to
didn't do
prevent
a lot out there.
the long-range amphibious assault? Is that the whole reason of that?
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if A6 can be kept clear of enemy troop transports,
Well, then they're going to be here. But yeah,
they can land in France. But then I know we're
Right.
going to land.
exactly.
If A6 has troops in there, there's 4 spots they can go, 4 countries they can invade.
Yeah, but you really only care about 2 of them. If they go to Norway, it kind of helps you.
Yeah, some players are slow burn, cautious.
True. I usually am, as you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to get you to be more aggressive.
Hey, I went into France on turn 3 and
So-
Germany on to turn 4, so.
Yeah,
But that's because the numbers were there.
yeah.
So the Air Force, I think this was probably the game where we had the most big Air Force battles than any other game. I mean, look at, and there's still fighters and bombers out there.
I know. I'm still trying to implement my Axis and Allies winning strategies. And in Axis and Allies, the German Luftwaffe can, in fact, control the Atlantic and the Russian front at the same time. But I can't do that in this game.
Not enough.
The map is bigger,
Oh, I see.
but the movement's exactly the same. 2 spaces.
I see.
And yeah, if I could do that, then I'd be, well, just like I'm an Axis and Allies expert, I'd be a war room expert.
So yeah, you have to
I'm
split
not.
your Air Force between
Yeah,
what it's doing.
that's what this game requires. Maybe. I do have an idea.
You
But
need to play Russia next time. You haven't played Russia in a while.
Yeah, I played Russia more than any other because they're the key to the game. You know, to the global game.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Maybe
if they,
I
if they
think
don't-
I'm leaning more toward
if
America.
Russia falls, it doesn't matter what the rest of the countries do.
No, it does.
If Moscow falls on turn 4,
Nah, America could still save it. If they're capturing France on turn 3,
only if they've already gone in.
yeah.
But-
I think the
but
key to the
they're
game
not.
is America. If you have an American player who's not pushing hard toward West Europe, then Russia's going to be in big trouble. And then Russia becomes the key to the game. But if you have an American player who's focused on France and Germany, and maybe a little bit of periphery, you know, here and here, then
So you got a difference of opinion. All right. We'll settle this on the battlefield.
okay.
Once again, you'll be right.
Any other comments on this game? Let's see.
It's a very good game. You always play a very good game. It's a big time struggle to. I've never beaten you. It's I know it's kind of
Frustrating.
well. It's kind of it's. I think it's quite rare. I mean, it speaks highly of me, in my opinion of me, but to fight someone that I can't beat at a game, not even once. I mean, I'm sorry, but I've got a pretty good track record before this.
Oh no.
So,
You could beat Stan?
oh yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Because I always heard from my mom that Stan won in everything, but maybe
Well, he was older than me, so
Oh.
it wasn't until my brain had developed, and
Yeah.
then he couldn't.
and also I think he was super competitive. So like my mom's perspective of it was probably like, don't play him anything because he'll just stomp you and then not have mercy.
Yeah, well, I did make him mad several times because I was 3.5 years younger.
Yeah.
I remember one time I beat him in a sprint because I got in front of him and I blocked him and I won, and he just got so mad. It's nice to beat your older brother.
How do you think he'd like this game? I wonder. Too long for him.
It's probably too long.
How long did we play? You got here at 9.
Yeah, we started a little after 10, so we
It's
finished.
5:30.
So we finished up at 5. So
We did 4 turns
4 turns in how many?
plus lunch. 6.5 hours plus lunch.
Yeah, so 6 hours. Yeah, so an hour and 15
We
minutes.
had 2 battle boards
per
going.
round.
So we kind of set up a battle, and then one guy would set stances while the other guy would set up a battle, and then this guy would come set stances, and then the first guy would go set stances, and
Yeah.
so we had a pretty good system
yeah,
where,
yeah, it's
where it
nice.
was going faster than just one person setting up the battles,
Yeah.
because there's not really enough room to have both. But.
Yeah.
So we need 4 battle boards for the global war, apparently.
All right,
All right, good game.
everybody, I'm gonna
Happy Christmas, or what?
Close it
Merry
out.
Christmas.
happy holidays and Merry Christmas. This is the 2nd annual Christmas War Room
Yeah.
destruction.
Last time it was the Pacific Theater.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So next time we will have to do global next
I guess
year.
so. You're about to have to spend the night.
Well, I can get here at like 4 a.m. if you want. I was up at 3:30 this morning. So I
Playing in
went,
your moves, right? He brought his book.
of his moves.
Yeah, I wrote down moves.
And we didn't play with that many optional rules. We just did long range amphibious assault, the submarines diving, the Rob's version, and then we did, factory repair, which never happens.
Yeah.
But I think that was
9 iron to repair that.
Yeah, no thanks. What? I don't think that we did any other optional rules, did we?
No.
So that was pretty good.
Now I'm trying to think of another game. I'd like to do a little short game, and somehow just make it the battle for Indian Ocean, and just use the countries that are bordering the Indian Ocean or the Red Sea, and just go right around,
Okay.
and have the UK and Japan, and we'd probably have to move the factories around and maybe adjust where the factories and how much they can build. But I think it'd be, you'd want to do like a short 2.5 hour game where you go.
There is a North African scenario which we haven't
do
tried.
that.
I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I haven't seen that.
It's in the version 2.
That would be very short though, wouldn't it?
So, the British Second Navy in I-2, I don't think it impacted the game.
Where's he at?
Well, he's sunk. He
Oh,
got
he got
sunk
sunk.
into.
Yeah, so that came from South Africa
Yeah, and he gave up because,
because it was over.
well, I had a feeling you'd run away, and I didn't really want to challenge your battleship with just that because it'd be like 4 dice. Or was that 5 dice? I can't remember. But you were sitting in your port. I had no port, so yeah, I never move him again.
All right, 18 minutes of commentary. Goodbye, everybody. See you on the next game.